You're making waves with your New York Times piece that advises the AG to investigate this as a hub and spoke conspiracy. You write that this bottom-up investigation approach sees the attack on the Capitol as a single event, an isolated riot, separate from other efforts by Trump to overturn the election. But, you write, that is actually inadequate because the evidence reveals a, quote, multi-pronged conspiracy where Trump's January 6th speech and the attack on the Capitol were one spoke of a grander scheme, end quote. Very interesting for those who understand that it's a big deal when people with, again, not to embarrass you, but your stature here in the DOJ, you know a lot of those people. I know you respect them professionally, but you're basically saying that there is a road not taken, best you can tell, and that's potentially a mistake, and they can do more, which you think would be good for nonpartisan law enforcement. Explain.
So I think one of the things that you saw today at the outset of the hearing, and certainly I think the series of hearings has shown, is that the committee has really not looked just at what happened on January 6th, but put it in context of all the other ways in which the White House and the former president were trying to stay in power. So that could include what he was doing with respect to DOJ, what he was doing with respect to Georgia, the pressure campaign that you referenced with respect to the vice president. In other words, putting it all in context. And if you noticed at the outset of today's hearing, there was an effort to say, you know, we're going to focus on one part of this plot, but this is, you need to see it in context. And the reason I think that's important is, as you mentioned, you know, everyone thinks from a criminal perspective, what's the evidence of intent? And, you know, if you're a prosecutor, you want all of the evidence and you want to see all of the ways in which the person you're thinking of charging has conducted themselves. So it is relevant to know what the president did with Brad Raffensperger in Georgia when you're thinking about what is he doing with respect to the riots on January 6th. It's relevant to know what is he doing with respect to beheading the Department of Justice so he can put it a flunky to say that there's fraud going on when that's false. I mean, all of it becomes of a piece. And if you're a juror, you would want to see the whole picture. So what I was trying to encourage in my op-ed was really having the department not have a sort of very myopic single focus to their investigation and to really be thinking of this the way the January 6th committee has presented it to the public.
Have you thought about lending them your glasses if you think they're myopic?
Yeah. So this was a way of doing that in a written way.
In a written way. Well, let me read a little more of your writing because, again, striking coming from you, and people I think know your chops. You say, quote, prosecutors at DOJ were reportedly surprised by the testimony of Hutchinson, not a sign of a robust investigation. The department has more tools than Congress does to learn the truth. It could have interviewed Hutchinson long ago, as well as many others whose evidence is relevant. Fact check true. Anyone who wanted a crash course reminder of these powers has seen that even a very effective committee like this one has to then ask DOJ to do stuff. For example, they had multiple people resisting. Some of them got indicted for contempt. Some didn't. The final call's with DOJ. But anytime they want to get a judge-approved warrant or lawful surveillance powers or scoop people up or compel witness testimony, they can do that. You're basically saying, with regard to some of these witnesses, they've been asleep at the wheel.
You know, I think that's basically right. And frankly, the Cassidy Hutchinson reports that the department was just as surprised as the public was the impetus for why I wrote this. That was surprising to me.
Let's pause on that, and then I'll let you continue. You're saying this is not a long-standing thing that you were sure of, say, 3 months ago, that it was that what many people saw as bombshell testimony, that when it was in the papers that DOJ was surprised by it, that set off an alarm bell for you?
Yeah, exactly. Because I thought, you know, the Department of Justice has more tools, not fewer tools, than Congress to get at the truth. It has one of the broadest powers in law enforcement, which is a grand jury subpoena. And it seemed pretty clear from those reports that the department was not looking at people at the White House with lots of very, very relevant information. And, you know, to me, they were conducting an investigation that was too narrow. And I thought that their investigation should really follow the model that was set by the January 6th committee, which was to look at this holistically in terms of what is the grand scheme, what are all of the different prongs, and not just be focusing on the people who entered the Capitol. As bad as that is, it doesn't get at the person who was likely behind all of that.